Hello there, Jets fans. Welcome to episode number 62 of the JetStream podcast. I am Travis Rubin, and today is February 9th. I'm here with Joe Clark and the birthday boy, Neil Noonan. Happy birthday, Neil.
Thank you, sir.
Round of applause for Neil.
Give yourself some horns or something. Like, I don't have
we don't have the ability to be excited about this.
I would give you horns if I had horns to give you, so.
Oh no, I got the short fuck you, bro. I don't know why that happens sometimes, man.
Anyways, happy birthday.
I appreciate
Happy
it.
birthday, Neil. We're just going to ignore that that's his birthday for the rest of the episode, I guess.
Yeah.
I've never been more excited about an episode, though.
That's true. This is,
not because of my birthday, but because of the main topic of... I don't know about you guys, but I think this is the biggest Jet news since coming back.
Oh, it's funny because the joke the entire time has been, well, at least we got national media attention finally.
Yeah, no doubt. Eh?
Not necessarily.
Didn't watch PTI at all, but
yeah.
I'm sure maybe they mentioned it.
Actually, I don't know. I watched a decent amount last week. It wasn't brought up.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, which, again, I guess puts things in a bit of perspective. But, yeah, it is another weeknight. Yes, we are hyped up on coffee again.
Mm-hmm.
We got some things to talk. Well, we got a thing to talk about. Evander Kane. I think he took it a little further than what we were expecting things to go when we said that he should just embrace his role as the villain.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think we were really meaning this. We've got a lot to talk about. We'll cover the background first of everything that's kind of been going on, just so Neil can get caught up. He was saying earlier that he's kind of deliberately stayed away from it all because he wants... I'm actually glad he did that because I want to get his kind of initial reaction without it being tainted by everything else that's been going on.
I've been doing my best to keep my information to just the minimum of what has actually happened, the facts, and then I've tried not to listen to anybody else.
It's very difficult to get in this situation.
I know, and I've tried not to listen to anybody else's opinion. I just want to get everything laid out and then make up my mind.
Yeah, so what we'll talk about for this whole thing, because there's a lot of different angles this can go. We'll touch on a couple more than others. There's some angles that I really don't want to get into too much, more so because I'm not an expert in that area. Not to say I'm an expert on really anything. But I'm not going to try to make an argument for something that we don't...
It's empty, don't worry.
Neil, just dumped coffee all over Neil's Xbox.
No, it's empty.
So we'll get around we'll get over the background story. We'll get our initial reactions and kind of where our thoughts and where I guess you could say we're laying blame in this whole situation. That seems to be the name of the game right now. It's a lot of rhymes. The name of the game right now is laying blame.
Name of the blame game. Who's playing the blame game?
Everybody.
What's the name of the blame game?
Joe, just stop that. We'll get to our talk of our thoughts of Evander as a player. Our boy Gary said a few interesting things when this first came out that I really don't agree with. We'll talk about, and this is a topic that we're not going to get deep into because it's very touchy, and I think it's a topic right now that he had blown out of proportion really quickly, is the whole concept of whether or not this could be bullying, or if this is just the way things are in the NHL or within team rooms. We'll talk about, and the topic that I'm kind of excited to bring up is where has Chevy been throughout all of this? What blame does he kind of hold in this whole situation? As well as where do the Jets really go from here? What options do they have at their disposal, I guess you could say, for right now? If we get through all that and we have enough time, our good friend Andrew Churley actually sent a question for us. So if we have time, we will get to that as well, but I have a feeling we won't because...
Aw, shout out to the big guy.
No, Andrew, I told you on Twitter, or I guess the JetStream account responded to you on Twitter, that if we don't get to your question this week, we will definitely get to it next week. I think I know how we can tie it into this week's discussion, but again, if we're pushing an hour already and we've only covered a couple things, we haven't got to our regular things yet, then I'll bump that to next week, because there's a couple other things I want to bring up this week too, but I don't really think we have enough time to get to it all today, because this Evander thing is, like Neil said, it's probably the biggest thing that's kind of happened so far with the Jets. It's getting us national attention. It's something that I think a lot of people, and I've wanted to write something about this on Arctic Ice for a long time, well, since it happened, I guess, but I just don't have the time to do that right now. So I had the time set aside for the podcast, so
here we go.
This is where our thoughts will come out for it. So start from the beginning.
In the beginning.
It was a lovely Tuesday.
Yeah.
Studying some stuff for school. Nothing major going on. Watching my Maple Leafs lose another game.
That was number 8.
Was that number 8? Or was that number... Because they got up to 11?
They got up to 11, yeah.
I think that might have been number 9.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been number 9 for the losing streak. things were terrible.
Yeah. It was a lovely Tuesday. It was a terrible day.
Yeah, it was a lovely Tuesday, but it was a terrible hockey day. I was watching the Leafs, and all of a sudden this little thing appears on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Evander Kane, healthy scratch.
Yeah.
And as soon as you see that, you know, here we go.
Oh, of course.
So Tuesday was where the first news came out. Evander Kane was a healthy scratch. Coach's decision. Something had gone on. No one really knows. So, of course, speculation is going crazy. Oh, he did this. He did that. He was late. Blah, 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 blah. All the speculation just kind of comes flying out. The Jets remained very tight-lipped about the whole thing. It was a coach's decision going towards Paul Maurice. At this point, everyone's kind of taking that perspective of, I don't know if we'll ever find out what he did, but whatever it is, the fact he's not in the lineup says it all. He needs to get his act together a little bit. I wasn't really in that camp. At that point in time, I was kind of the, Evander, you really screwed up. You need to smarten up a little bit here. Like, get it together. I'm not going to start blaming everything on you. I don't think this is a huge issue at that point. I was kind of in that pool where it's like, hey, you don't do this to a guy if you're expecting to move him. You don't bench a guy for being late to something if you want him to be around. If you really have that big of an issue with it, he'll be moved. It's apparently pretty naive of me.
Yep.
But I think even I think that was the day that Hustler actually had a really good monologue, as you can say, on 1290, kind of explaining his side of things. He's been one of the Evander's biggest supporters. He had a good, I think it was almost 10 minutes of talk about his perspective, and it's at that point where it's like, Evander, now at this point you're taking yourself off the ice, and it's causing you to hamper the team. You need to get it together and figure this out. So that was Tuesday/Wednesday. Everyone was kind of wondering. Later on Wednesday, around the time that my good friend Joe here was coming to pick me up for some floor hockey that day, news broke that it was, from Gary Lawless actually, news broke that it was a tracksuit.
Travis was enraged at this point.
I was quite
when I
pissed
picked him
off
up.
at this.
He's just like, a fucking tracksuit.
Yeah, it was a tracksuit.
That was the first words I think he said to me when he got into my car. Like, he didn't even say, hey, how's it going? He just got in and he was like, a fucking tracksuit.
The news broke that it was a tracksuit, that Evander Kane had wore a tracksuit to something.
Team meeting.
I think they had said a team meeting that day. This is on Wednesday evening. They wore a tracksuit to something. I guess it was a team meeting. And that he broke team rules, and for that he was scratched. At which point, myself, and I think a few other people in the general consensus were thinking, like I said to Joe, a fucking tracksuit?
Yeah.
You are willing to scratch a guy when you don't have enough forwards to cover everything because he wore a fucking tracksuit? That, first of all, made no sense to me, personally. I understood the rules are rules sort of aspect of things, but it just didn't make sense to me. At that point, it was a thought started running through my mind, okay, why? Like, I seriously doubt this guy would just deliberately go ahead and wear a tracksuit, knowingly screwing around with Paul Maurice just because he was in Vancouver. So the first thought in my mind was this had to have been some sort of mistake. It was well known at this point that Evander had gone to the pregame skate or the whatever it was, or they saw him in the afternoon. Everything was all joyous. Everything was wonderful. And by the evening, something had happened and he was scratched. So my thought was, you know what? I bet you he drove to the arena in a tracksuit because that's what you do. You don't have to go to your or wherever your pregame skate was in a tracksuit, went for the skate and was going to go change and come back in a suit. My thought was I bet he had shown up in a tracksuit, didn't realize they had a meeting immediately after the skate, showed up in the meeting in a tracksuit. My mistake. That was what my concept was. Some people believed that. Some people thought that was insane. Regardless, I was kind of blown away at the fact that you were willing to completely decimate your lineup because a guy wore a tracksuit. There was a lot of that. At this point, there was a lot of people wondering, okay, something else has to have gone on. You don't, even those who were underneath the impression of rules are rules, you break the rule, you face your punishment sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think even those people had the belief in their mind that something else had to have happened. Either this was a regular occurrence and he's done this all the time and this is kind of a final straw, or he's done something. I heard rumors that he had gone to certain places before the game as well, and that led to it that he wasn't just a tracksuit, he was also late.
But as far as we know.
At that point in time, it was tracksuit, and that was it. Things remained pretty tight-lipped.
Yes, that was the only actual real information released.
The only fact that we had received.
Yes.
And that was on Wednesday?
That was on Wednesday.
That was on Wednesday.
This is just one day of speculation and explosions of what has been going on.
Like, literally 24 straight hours of people being like, this probably happened. No, this probably happened.
At which point in time, the news has already gotten decently large. People started talking about things, and things were going kind of crazy. I'm sorry if you know the whole story. Just want to recap and kind of give our timelines for where we were at with all this stuff.
So, but as far as we know...
on Wednesday night, going to bed on Wednesday, he was healthy scratch because he wore a tracksuit. To a team event. Yes. Something of the teams.
Which, apparently, there was a clearly defined rule that you're supposed to be wearing a suit.
Yes. Actually, I don't even think we knew that. That was just assumed based on the fact that he was a healthy scratch and the news of this tracksuit thing. So that might not even be a rule.
So really, we only have two facts at this point on Wednesday night. We know
and
that
meanwhile, everyone's losing their minds.
We know that he was scratched, and we know, because that's what's been told to us by the Winnipeg Jets,
that he was wearing a tracksuit.
It was because he was wearing a tracksuit. Those are our two facts at this point on Wednesday night.
Then Thursday rolls around. Speculation.
Yeah, of course. Another 24 hours of speculation.
Things keep coming on. People keep saying things. Shit keeps hitting the fan, and it's just getting sprayed everywhere. And then, sorry, I meant to pull this up. I'm going to see if this does this quickly for me. And then a story breaks. I believe it was Chris Johnson from Sportsnet. Thinks to himself, you know what?
Is he from Winnipeg? Because this is another.
I don't believe he's a Winnipeg.
It's another classic Winnipeg Jets news being broken by somebody from not in Winnipeg.
That's the thing. Most of this news is broken from places outside of Winnipeg.
Fantastic. Gets me every time.
Is this it? I hope this is it. Where do Kane and the Jets go from here? No, this is Elliot Friedman. Damn it. Oh, I think
Kane skipped game after incident with teammates.
Chris Johnson. That was probably it. Okay, here we go. This is Elliot Friedman's kind of interpretation of whatever it is that happened, and this is from Chris Johnson, rephrased by Elliot Friedman. It then gets released that Kane did show up in a tracksuit. Sorry, he did show up in a tracksuit to a team's meeting earlier on Tuesday. While he was getting treatment or working out or whatever it was, that tracksuit was thrown into the shower by teammates. Sorry, shower, cold tub, his suit ended up moist.
Mm-hmm.
Completely wild speculation that it was Dustin Byfuglien who did this. That has been later said. I don't know if that's fact, but it is wildly believed that it was Dustin Byfuglien who did this.
But we're pretty confident in the fact that his tracksuit became moist due to a teammate's actions.
His tracksuit got moist. Either via shower or via cold tub.
I know a lot of people don't like the word moist, so I apologize for saying it over and over again. But
I know people don't like it. There's you know what word drives me absolutely crazy?
I do.
It's going to make me feel disgusting to say.
I know what word you're going to say.
It's panties.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious.
I don't know what it is with that word. Thong? Fine. Whatever. I say that all day. But
no. You don't have to say it, Travis. We're not talking about panties right now, so you can just keep talking about moist stuff.
You know what? There's
moist panties.
That's gross.
Anyways,
Evander Kane, who a lot of people on Twitter refer to as someone who would wear panties lately.
Nice.
Thrown in the shower by teammates. Kane was furious and could not be found before the game. He basically just said, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here."
Mm-hmm.
Leaves. Gone. The Jets kind of went from the where is he to this again to is this guy okay? And then approximately an hour before game time, Kane answered his phone, said he would not play. That's still up for question. We have some people saying he was told not to show up, whether it was because of the tracksuit thing or whatever it was. We have people saying that Kane just didn't show up. That kind of changes my opinion as to what happened.
Obviously, yeah, it's big.
It's my interpretation at this point and kind of how I'm phrasing it is Kane decided not to show up.
I've never heard of a situation where the team was just like, don't even bother.
Oh, exactly. I'd be shocked if the team told not even to come to the arena. That would make no sense.
That's basically the team asking for drama, right? Because then people are going to be saying,
exactly.
Oh, he wasn't even at the game, blah, 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 right? Which ended up happening, but I can't imagine a team wanting that.
Exactly. It's one thing if he's in the press box.
Yeah.
Because then you could say, yeah, it was a coach's decision. When he straight up doesn't show up, then you're like, hey, something's up here.
Yeah.
That's where the big stuff comes from. So that's what we know.
Yes. They're like...
Those are the facts.
4 facts in there, 1 per day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's a few on the Thursday that really makes things juicy. So I guess you could say other things we know. I'm going to read off a couple quotes here. that make things a little bit more interesting. Before it was released that this is what went on, there was obviously a time for players... Oh, sorry, I want to clear up one more thing in this story. It's from Renaud Leveau, another French guy, French reporter out in Quebec area. He works for TSN's French affiliate, whatever it is. I can't remember what, RDS.
Yep.
He tweeted out that Evander Kane was in a tracksuit because he thought the team meeting was at the team hotel and not at the arena. When he realized the meeting was at the arena, he didn't have time to go back to his place in Vancouver to change. So, to start all of this, if this is correct,
Yeah.
it was a mistake.
Big if.
So, this guy's usually pretty reliable. He's broken a few things on the Jets before. So this all started because Evander made a mistake.
Possibly.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Again, I'm hard-pressed to believe that Evander just straight up said, fuck you guys, I'm wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah.
Because this is my hometown.
Yeah.
I don't see
He's
him
played
deliberately
in
doing
Vancouver
that.
before.
Exactly. Like, I don't see him deliberately screwing around like that. Being late is one thing. Deliberately breaking dress code is kind of...
I know it's easy to say, like... To be like, oh yeah, well that seems like something Evander would do. It's like, okay, well he's been in the NHL for how long now, and he's never had an issue with
he
dress
did do
code?
that one before.
What?
He has actually had an issue with dress code before. Apparently in Atlanta, he did the same thing with a sweatsuit, and the team ended up cutting it up into a bikini for him.
Oh, so this has happened before. I've never even heard about this.
This has happened before.
This is great.
Apparently, again, I don't know if that's fact or fiction or what that is.
Well, so that was his rookie year?
I guess so. One of his first 2 years in Atlanta.
Interesting.
Yeah, it does add a bit of a twist.
That does.
Because that means there's history there, and apparently there's
but you would
history
think he
of
would
him
have
in Bufflin before,
would have
too.
learned from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
But again, that makes me think even more that this was a legit mistake for him to actually wear a tracksuit. Evander Kane is a douchebag. We talked about this before. He's probably the biggest douche in the world. He's not the Mark Stewart of off-the-ice folk.
No.
He's not loved by everybody, and he knows that. But I don't see him deliberately doing that. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. He might. Maybe he is that twisted. But whatever. We'll get to that in a second. The things that really make this interesting are before the team knew what was going to get leaked, because I think they were under the perception that this was going to stay... The Jets have stayed very quiet throughout this entire thing. Paul Maurice still hasn't gone past it was a coach's decision.
Yeah.
Nobody's confirmed any of these rumors. This is all allegedly. I'm just going to get that out there. Allegedly, this is what happened. What we do know for fact are these quotes from two guys in the room.
These are interesting.
And this is when things were said
these words are from Wednesday, are they not?
Yes, this is Wednesday afternoon when the healthy scratch was done.
Yes.
And it was believed to be because of a coach's decision.
Yeah.
There's nothing else
before
known.
Tracksuit.
This is before Tracksuit. This is before anything else. Bufflin on Kane said to a reporter, "I'm sure you have rules in your household. And if the kids don't stick to it, you've got to discipline them. It is what it is." Wheeler said, "There's a standard that everyone needs to live up to. We're professionals and we make a lot of money and we're expected to uphold a certain standard and, that's the code we live by and, that's just the way it is. And if you don't like it, there's other places to go. This is the way we do things."
Okay. So he's referring to the Jets specifically.
This was taken as there's a certain way you're supposed to do things, and people were like, whoa, what's that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Add on these other parts of the story,
Yeah.
and people get they were really sending a message to this kid.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that's the story.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time explaining something that a lot of our listeners probably know already. Maybe we give them
But
some new
it is nice to
information.
get just the sort of facts laid out, what is actually legit.
That's what we know. That's what's been put out there.
Yep. Because once you start getting different media outlets going all left, right,
it's hard to put
it's hard to figure out exactly what is legit from the what I'm saying is legit is the stuff that comes from the organization, because that's about as legit as
nothing comes from them.
Well, but the players, coach, whatever, because that's about as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah. Okay, so let's draw a line right here. Line's drawn this time, right now. Fact-telling time is done.
Yes.
What we know from media is done.
Yes.
There are a couple other quotes and things that we'll bring up, but media time is finished right now. Right now, though, I want your thoughts. Whole situation just laid out for you two. This is the first time you guys have fully gotten this story. Neil, I know it's the first time you've got this all start to finish. This is what happened. Actually, I'm going to start with you, Neil, because I think you might have some interesting first kind of thoughts. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I think you made a good point about how it's hard to believe that Evander Kane would show up purposely with the tracksuit. Like, you really have to think little of him for him to do that. Mm-hmm. As much as a douchebag as he could be or he's framed to be, I just can't see a professional athlete really doing that unless there's something we don't know, and it's really
that's the thing. The whole thing is we don't know a lot.
Yeah.
So I think there's a point where it's disrespectful because you still did it, and then there's a level of it's disrespectful because you did it on purpose. Exactly. I don't think he's at that full I hate you guys so much, I did this on purpose side of things.
But then with that being said, I also believe that the other players, being Buff, Wheeler, Ladd, whoever it is in that locker room, wouldn't have put that tracksuit in, made it moist, unless they knew for sure he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because don't you think the first thing Kane would say is like, shit, guys, I'm sorry. Like, I got stuck in traffic. I couldn't make it way home. I had to make it here for the meeting. It was either I'm late for the meeting or I'm in a tracksuit.
Which I want to point out, he's been scratched before for being late. So I feel like it's one of those things where if you had to make a decision between the two, am I late again? Second time could be worse punishment, or do I just deal with this and maybe I can get away with it?
Exactly. So I don't want to be naive to the fact that that I'm assuming that conversation happened.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that the whole team was on board with this putting the tracksuit in the water kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So then that makes me believe, or at least makes me confused, that whether or not Kane was doing it on purpose.
Yeah, the kind of perception that I'm getting from a lot of both people and media is that Kane just wasn't well liked by a lot of guys in that room. Bufflin, apparently, him and Buff have had issues over the last 4 or 5 years. So, again, it's all speculation for the most part for that, but it just sort of seems like a message from them saying, listen, bro, I don't care if this was a mistake or even if it was a mistake, you got to learn a lesson. And you've had guys come out before, and we'll get to the whole is this workplace bullying crap in a bit, but we've had a lot of guys who've played in the NHL before say this is how it goes. If a guy is stepping out of line, try to put him back in line by doing something like this, cutting their laces, throwing something in the suit. A lot of guys have said they've had their clothes thrown in the shower before.
Because, I mean, realistically, it's not the worst thing ever. You're like, your clothes are wet. Big deal.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of those things that's, sending a message.
And I bet you that wasn't the first time they tried to send a message.
Probably not.
Hearing from Wheeler and, just his tone of his voice in that interview he had, it really made me believe that they just had enough with Kane's shit.
Yeah.
Right? And
that's what it sounded like.
They're professional athletes. There's guys in that locker room that I'm positive have spoke to Kane and said, enough is enough. You're a professional athlete. Sure, you're 23 or whatever years old, but get it together. You're talented as hell. We shouldn't have to deal with shit like this.
Yeah.
And then maybe this whole tracksuit in the water thing was a reason to make it public or something.
See, but then I start wondering, okay, well, yeah, you're professional athletes, but then you guys have to be professional to level 2.
With the whole tracksuit in the water.
I feel like your leadership group needs to know if whether or not that's going to take it too far with a guy. That's your job as a captain, I guess you could say, to know, are we going too far with doing this to him? Because I feel like Evander Kane's one of those guys, and I think everyone here would agree with that, he's one of those guys who take his public perception very seriously. He wants to look his best. He wants to dress the best. I'm sure that tracksuit was probably out of any realm of how much we could afford to pay for a tracksuit.
Absolutely. That was for sure an Armani tracksuit.
Oh, for sure. And at what point does it become, Kate, is there a better way for us to send that message? I want to make something perfectly clear, and I know we haven't straight up got all of your opinions straight out, Joe. I've defended Evander Kane a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We've defended Evander Kane a lot as a whole for a lot of the shit he does. And I still don't think anything he's done publicly is really that bad.
It's not.
Being late is one thing. Pictures, doing whatever. The players in the room themselves have said they don't care that much about that. They don't care.
Because why would they?
Exactly. It doesn't affect them at all.
Yeah.
The only reason it's a distraction is because stupid media members keep bringing it up. It doesn't mean anything. But if I'm Evander Kane in this situation, we'll get to that in a second. It's hard to gather all my thoughts with this because there's so many perspectives and there's so much we don't know.
There's a ridiculous amount of angles to cover here.
If I'm As a fan, as someone who spends a lot of time both researching and watching and evaluating to the best of my abilities this team, that was him not showing up was the first time I was legitimately thinking to myself, that's too far. And if I'm to lay blame, I understand you were pissed off. I understand you were sick of this. I understand apparently he's asked for trades before. We'll get to that in a while. But you're paid $6 million a year to show up and play hockey. All that other shit, whatever. Do what you want off the ice. I personally think this whole perception of having to be a role model and all that stuff, we talked about this before, I think that's a little overblown. I don't think it's really fair to always put that on every player. But you're paid to show up and play hockey. I don't care what the hell's going on. You feel like you were getting mistreated in the locker room, talk to your coach, you show up. That's where the only thing that I want to figure out is if he was told not to show up, straight up not come to the arena, which I don't think is true, or if he chose on his own not to show up and the Jets were like, fine. Because if he chose on his own to not show up, that is all on you. That is all on him.
Everything from there forward is...
That's not cool.
Yeah.
There are people, again, people are moaning and whining, oh, we pay him all this money, he's got to show us more respect than taking money from pictures. No, he can do what he wants with his money.
Yeah.
But he's paid that money to show up and play hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
At that point, he's not doing his job anymore, and that I have a problem with. As a fan who paid money to go watch him play, that's where I have a problem. If the coaches want to keep you out, yeah, I get that. That's annoying to me because I paid to watch him play. But still, it was out of his control. Mm-hmm. If he takes this in his own hands and decides that he's not going to play, that's officially my first big problem with Evander Kane, is you gave up. That being said, I don't blame him for being furious if I was in his situation. The reason I don't blame him for being furious, if I was in his situation, he's 23 years old. Yeah, he handled this really immaturely. 23, I know a lot of mature 23-year-olds. I like to think I'm one of them. I just wouldn't not show up. That, again, all on Evander. But if my job's to play hockey, this year Evander Kane has given up power play time. He sat on the third line and not said a word about it. He's playing with a rookie center. Again, Evander Kane's centers these last few years, Ole Jokinen, Mark Scheifele on his rookie year, Adam Lowry on his rookie year.
Yikes.
Again, not a word from him. Playing on the penalty kill. Playing defensive minutes, despite the fact he said himself he wants to score 50 goals. I don't blame him for that. Say what you want to say.
Yeah. People are crazy about that.
Yeah, I don't get why people are so upset about that. Sorry, the guy set goals for himself.
Yeah. What a dumbass. Who thinks he could score 50 goals?
Mark Scheifele's compared himself to Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Nazem Kadri compared himself to John Tavares. Guys do that all the time. Why are you playing if you don't want to be the best you can be?
Exactly.
Evander Kane on ice, which is, I think I've made clear over all this time doing this podcast, that's what matters to me, is your on-ice performance. Evander Kane has sacrificed a lot of personal accolades, probably more than any other player on this team, except for maybe Dustin Byfuglien, who complained when it happened.
Yeah.
And he shuts his mouth and he's done it. So if I'm Evander Kane and I'm looking at this as I'm getting ripped apart in the media for not scoring goals. I'm getting ripped apart by everybody because I'm not scoring goals. But I am coming out every day, probably on a regular basis, one of the hardest working players on the ice on this team.
Well, that was a point that I brought up, I remember, just before Claude Noel got fired, when they were in that slump. And I was like, Kane's the only guy showing up. He's the only guy playing right now. And it's consistent.
His effort's never been questioned on the ice.
It's consistent. If there's ever any question about the effort level of the Jets, it's never has anything to do with Evander Kane.
Ever. He works his ass off every day.
Which you would think would be something that people would like.
Exactly. He's played through a terrible surgery-requiring injury. He's played with pain.
Had a torn labrum.
Assuming that's what it is. I'm assuming it was a torn labrum because from the sounds of things, that's what it was. That's exactly what it sounds like.
That's what they said.
They don't think they've ever said it, but I think that's kind of the general consensus.
I definitely saw something. I would never have said.
I think someone said labrum.
I totally saw that somewhere.
Yeah, I think they might have actually
wishing
said that.
I favorited the tweet or kept the screenshot.
Whether it was sublux, whatever. If it's coming, if your arm has come out of the socket, you've torn your labrum. That's just the way it is. An injury that has hurt him since, if his agent's telling the truth, since before the season started. He's got fractures. He's got torn parts in his shoulder to the point where you have your coach straight up saying, which is hilarious because everything else Paul Maurice has said, everyone's like, oh, he must be telling the truth. But as soon as I start saying he said that Evander Kane's been playing through injuries you just don't play through, it's, oh, he's upselling his player.
Yeah.
Shut up. He's been playing through things that guys, like Paul Maurice said, simply do not play through.
Yeah.
For this team. And then you do something which, again, if the report is true, was by accident, and they treat you like that, I'd be pissed off too.
It would be hard to feel like you're not being, hard done by.
Yeah, exactly. Situation. And again, I don't think either of us are saying Evander Kane making $6 million a year is hard done by any stretch of the imagination.
But
I feel like that's a little unfair.
It's really easy for us to sit here making, 30, 40 grand a year and say if I was making $6 million, I would never complain at all. If you're in that situation, you're not thinking about that.
You're sacrificing your body, and the guys just said, screw you.
I think I might have mentioned it when Mike Richards was. When we were talking about Mike Richards, I don't know if we talked about it last week, how he's making, or 2 weeks ago, he's making, a mil less in the AHL. I'm like, I can guarantee you he doesn't give a crap about the money. Yeah. All he was worried about is playing in the NHL right now because it's the pride.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's the same thing with the Evander Kane situation. Yes, he's making $6 million. He has no reason to complain. There are people way worse off in the world than he is. But if it's you in that situation, you're still a human being. You're fragile. Your feelings can still be hurt if you're a millionaire.
Guys that your body is literally getting deteriorated because you're going out and working your ass off. The body is falling apart, and you're showing up to optional practices. You were one of the few guys to show up to the optional practice on Tuesday morning, and then they decide that that's not good enough for them. That because you showed up in a tracksuit, that they can do whatever they want to you.
Mm-hmm. It's very easy to say, and I've caught myself doing it with professional athletes being like, why are you complaining? You make so much money, right? And it's just like a natural thing to do. I've done it. Just what's your problem? Like, why are you complaining? You're making $7 million. But, it's... If you do not have any concept of psychology or you have any feeling of empathy ever, if you can't sympathize with a professional athlete who's going through a tough time, because it doesn't matter how much money you're making at that point, you're still a human being.
Joe, do you ever complain about work?
Yeah. Sometimes.
I bet you a homeless guy would do whatever it took. Someone without a job would do whatever it took to take your position.
Exactly. And then they would, after they did it for whatever.
Are you a hypocrite for complaining about your job?
Yeah, exactly.
At least you have a job.
Yeah, I do.
So, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He's allowed to be upset about something like that. He's literally deteriorating his body for this team, and they just ignore that.
Yeah.
I would be pissed off too. Again, when he stops showing up, when he doesn't come to the team, that's when I think the issue arises, and that's where I think the line's been drawn. But before that, I'd be pissed. My throat is just destroyed right now. I'm coughing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So, Neil, is there anything else you wanted to add to that for right now before we kind of continue on with our discussion?
No, I'm excited to go on.
All right.
Yeah.
Side note, and just because nobody else has said this, somehow, I just want to put this out here, somehow every other member of the team made it to that meeting on time, dressed properly. Just saying.
No, it's fair.
I love Evander Kane as much as the next guy, but just saying.
Yeah.
No, that's a fair argument.
There's something going on there.
The thing with that, though, is Evander wasn't staying with the team. He has a house in Vancouver,
but
so again, that's
how many guys on the team have been playing in their hometowns?
Oh, no, I know.
All the time.
I know. I'm not trying to take all the blame away from Evander Kane.
Yeah.
Evander Kane shoulders a lot of the blame here.
Yeah.
He does. My only argument is I think some of his anger was justified.
Yes, fair enough.
It's nearly impossible if Evander just didn't show up. Yes, he showed up late to a meeting. I understand that. he showed up in clothes either late or he was wearing the wrong clothes. He has to own that.
Mm-hmm.
But my big question, let's just transition right to this whole kind of extra side argument. Is it really Dustin Byfuglien's place to decide what Evander Kane does and does not wear? Or that's something, in my opinion, your coach deals with that and then it's over. Coach deals with it, scratches you for a game. Yeah, other players are pissed. Fine. You know what? I was pretty pissed off. I'm sure some of the guys were pretty pissed off when Pavelec got a DUI. Yeah. When Dustin Byfuglien got a boating under the influence. Don't act like you're some perfect guy and that it's your responsibility to do this.
Yeah, that's a strange situation because I know myself as a teammate and obviously not a professional.
As an employee, just look at this straight up as a job. And is my coworker allowed to frick with my stuff?
Yeah.
When I step away because he doesn't like that I was late?
And even think of yourself, well, you can do it in both aspects, right? Because, and you were talking about this earlier, how there's been a debate of, workplace, is it different if it's a sport, whatever. So let's look at it in both ways, as a teammate and as a coworker. And in neither situation do I feel like I would be the one to impart the justice. If it was a teammate of mine, I would just be like, hey, this is the coach's issue. Let him deal with it. And, you come back and we'll be teammates again. That's fine.
Exactly.
Or as an employee, especially as an employee, I feel you have even less of a role to take with that because there are clearly defined hierarchy roles when it comes to your employer. So
it's literally written in stone.
Exactly.
What your pay grade is and everything like that. Now let me. I don't want to sound naive about this because I understand sports are different. They are. Their sports are different.
You can't.
It's a different realm. Professional sports is a spot that none of us could say that we've ever actually been a part of.
No.
Unless Neil's done some crazy career stuff that I have no clue about.
Nope.
I get that you have a leadership group, and that leadership group is kind of in charge of... They're the sheepdogs of the herd. They're supposed to keep everybody in one unit. When a guy starts stepping out of place, you're supposed to rally him back in and get things going.
To me, it should be only positive, though.
Not necessarily only positive, but it needs to be... If you are so sure that you're the guy in that leadership core that's supposed to be wrangling guys in, you better as hell understand how to properly wrangle a guy in. And that comes, again, to the point. You need to know better than... You need to know how he's going to react to this. You need to know that he is not going to be even close to it, all happy with what's going on right there. If you don't, and you think maybe you're taking this too far, talk to the guy. Talk to your coach. Find out another way to get around it. Maybe those discussions have happened before. Maybe Evander pretty much said, fuck you guys, and walked away.
Possible.
Again, that's extremely possible. But if it's getting to this point, you have a problem. And we'll get to Chevy's side of things in a few minutes, but you need to know better than to just to get to the point where a guy has in his mind no option but to say, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. And then go get surgery. You need to. And I think we both have coached. Have you coached before, Joe?
No, not head coach.
We've both been there. I think we both understand. You were a big leader for our team. I think you understand the point of... I'm pointing at Neil here, for those of you not watching on YouTube. I think you understand that there's a very important role that players have to play. We've had discussions with players before where they need to be the leaders on your team. They need to be able to take that next step. They need to help guide guys the way. But you need to know how to do that properly. And when you don't, that's when you have dysfunction. That's when stuff like this goes on.
And that's why I want to give Byfuglien the benefit of the doubt, because I feel like Stanley Cup champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes, yeah.
One of the leaders on the team, whether it's verbally or physically in this case. I want to believe that these conversations have happened before, and this was Buff and amongst other guys. Again, I really take a lot of weight in Wheeler's interview because I feel like he's the kind of guy that he seemed fed up, and he seems like a very level-headed kind of guy. And I feel like this was a last straw. You're just not getting it, man. As many conversations as we have with you as a team, I'm sure Andrew Ladd's in there, Wheeler, whoever it may be. Sure, this may be a little petty thing, but what if this never got out to the public, right? I'm sure this...
Oh, yeah, that's what I think is the big thing here, is it got out.
It's a very small thing, getting the guy's tracksuit wet, Armani or whatever. Who cares? It's fine.
And apparently, from a lot of guys who've played in the league before, this is a regular occurrence.
Right,
This is something that happens in every locker room.
Yeah. I had a guy shit in a guy's shoe in the NBA. Like, things have been worse. Like, it's a professional sports team. This is your family. You see them all the time.
Yeah.
But I really want to give Bufflin the benefit of the doubt that these conversations have happened before, and this was just dude, get your shit together. You're a $6 million star, 23 years old, that wants to score 50 goals. You have to get together the off-ice stuff, too.
And I think, okay, I'm going to take what you're saying right now and transition to a point that we're going to get to later, but that's where I think Kevin Cheveldayoff's job has failed. That's where I think the blame goes directly on him, because I would be how out of touch do you have to be with your locker room that something like this happens and you haven't taken steps to control it?
As far as we know, there's been nothing from head office.
Well, we know for a fact. I'm not exactly sure how this was phrased, but Gary Lawless is confident enough to go on a show and say that Evander Kane has asked for a trade. So if Evander Kane's asked for a trade, you haven't granted that yet. Things have gotten to the point where you have guys saying a message needs to be sent. If Neil's correct at all here, and this has been going on for a while, that leadership group had to have gone to Kevin Cheveldayoff and said, this needs to get fixed. How blatantly ignorant do you have to be on what's going on in the team you're managing to let it get this bad? If the guy's asked for a trade, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Whether it's he doesn't like where he's playing, which is a problem in itself, or he doesn't like the guys he's playing with, that is a huge problem. And you just let it get this bad without moving him?
And even if you don't directly do anything about it as general manager, and I think that a lot of general manager duties is delegating when you're that high up. That's got to be something that if you're not going to deal with that situation directly, go to Paul Maurice and say, hey, this is the situation, guys, express this concern to me. Do something about it. I trust your judgment.
Well, still,
whatever.
how much can Paul Maurice do, really? He all he's doing is deploying guys and trying to control what's going on with them.
But he's got a more close relationship personally when it comes to the players. So,
yeah,
he can manage that side of it more than I think a general manager.
But again, that's a ticking time bomb, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chevy was just getting nothing for offers, but when a guy's asked for a trade, you've got to think to yourself, there's a problem here. You've got to do something. And Chevy's been who knows where. He hasn't said anything throughout this entire period, which again is probably the organization coming through and saying, mouth shut. But in my opinion, a lot of the blame of this all happening has to go on Kevin Cheveldayoff. How do you do nothing? How do you let it get this bad before you do anything?
Well, still not really anything.
Exactly. Well, now, if you want to talk about being cornered, he's done this to himself. Don't blame the Jets not being able to do anything on Evander Kane. Mm-hmm. That is 100% on Chevy, ignoring all the signs. Again, this is getting out because it's been so obvious at this point. I think you'd almost have to be stupid to not think that the media's known something is going on for this long. And just... I think you'd have to be almost ignorant to think that the media doesn't know that something's been going on.
Well, on that Friday, when Kane's agent came out and made his statement from the Kane camp, I'm pretty sure it was from that statement that I saw a reporter quote that there's been continual conversations between Chevy and Kane's people, agent, whatever, of possible trades for over 2 years.
Yeah.
It's been consistent.
So if this has been going on, then how do you just let that fester? How have you not gotten a single offer?
That's even
a single offer.
Well, maybe he has, but nothing that's even come close to happening.
If it's 2 years and you have gotten that nothing close to happening, you're evaluating a guy way too high.
Yeah. And
I'll be the first to say Evander Kane can pull a lot. Evander Kane's a good hockey player. But if you are going for 2 years without anything, that's ridiculous. Do your freaking job. You've got to be really out of touch for 2 years of nothing.
Yeah, especially if at the beginning of when that all started, there were concerns coming from Kane of the maybe not demanding a trade, but saying, hey, what's going on here? I'm not happy.
Well,
that was the most interesting comment that came from this situation. I didn't know. I mean, there was always speculation of, could Evander Kane be traded? But it was always just as much of an option as anything else.
Yeah.
But when I saw that comment from his agent, that's what it really hit. I was like, wow, That's legit. Like, they've actually been thinking of trading Evander Kane for over 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Like, and
nothing's happened.
Even if it's not just, let's say just by chance. And you'd have to almost assume he's had conversations with Andrew Ladd. Andrew Ladd is the captain of your team. If Andrew Ladd is coming to you and telling you everything's okay, fine. If things are this bad right now, the guys are going to the meeting and saying, guys had to be taught a lesson.
Yeah.
It's not been a pretty sight. So either Andrew Ladd has been straight up lying to Chevy's face, or Chevy's done nothing about it. And what kind of message does it send to your team when you just leave a guy there? You say, you know what? You guys don't know what you're doing in that leadership room. He's staying. And we're going to let this just fester. We're just going to let it sit there for as long as I possibly can and not do anything about it. Anything. How do you let that happen? On top of it all, how do you let it get to the point where when something does happen, you don't have another forward?
Yeah, that's
nothing.
Big problem.
The third line was Chris Thorburn and Jim Slater yesterday. How does a professional general manager let that happen?
That's pretty bad.
Chris Thorburn was your second power play unit yesterday.
Yikes.
How? And guys were tweeting at me earlier this year, oh, look at it, Chevy's fixed it. No.
Well,
this is not fixed.
Everybody was feeling lovey-dovey after the World Juniors.
This was not fixed.
Look at all the Jets prospects.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
He did what every other GM's had to do, and he's done a good job so far. Have any of them played an NHL game yet?
Josh Morrissey's played a couple of preseason
games. Lovely.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yep.
They played games. Way to go, guys. You played games when it doesn't matter.
Yep, good.
But it's fixed, Joe.
Yeah, it's fixed.
It's fixed. The locker room's a fucking shit show. We have no extra forwards for if a guy gets hurt or, suspended or, surgery.
Guess we're calling up Patrice Cormier.
It's fixed. Patrice Cormier. Problem solved, man.
And he's like, who was it that tweeted out? I don't know, but there's like 5 or 6 guys on the Ice Caps team that have better goals or points per minute played than Patrice Cormier. So I was like, why are you calling him up? Like, he's not even like your best option.
I don't get it. Like, to me, this whole situation, Kevin Cheveldayoff doing nothing about this whole situation, he fails this year. He fails. Unless he pulls something off crazy in the next few weeks before the trade deadline, F. Mm-hmm. I don't care. He needs to fix this now or fail. If he does nothing before the trade deadline, how does he still have a job?
This team's not making the playoffs if Jim Slater and Chris Thorburn are your third line / second unit power play.
Ever. Most teams with them as their fourth line aren't making the playoffs.
I don't really care what Hutchison / Pavlik does for the rest of the year. I don't really care if...
You can't play 2 lines.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And they were getting along with 3 and a quarter lines and doing well. But... it just doesn't work when you have guys who are worse than your average fourth line player on your second line or third line.
Ridiculous.
And on your power play.
I don't get how nobody's talked about that. Nobody. And
nobody ever questions when Thorburn moves the lineup.
No, not that. No, absolutely nobody has said a word about the fact that Kevin Cheveldayoff just let this happen at all.
Well, because it's all Kane's fault, obviously. Everything's Kane's fault. And I'm not saying that he's not at blame for any of this.
I understand that press passes are at stake here, and if you say bad things about a team, they can take a press pass away just like that. Mm-hmm. But I would like to think that fair criticism of a GM who let this happen is okay.
You would think so.
It's not, as long as you're not bullshitting stuff, you're allowed to sit there and question, why is this guy getting no attention?
Yeah.
It's infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. How just scot-free. And it's frustrating. I just don't get it. Nothing at all. It's Evander Kane's fault. Blame Kane.
Yeah. Just
blame Kane.
Yeah, that's a good hashtag. I like that one.
Okay.
Even if he gets traded, we guys keep using that whenever something bad happens.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. He might not even get traded out of this.
3 years down the line.
That's the thing. He could come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Jets organization has still said nothing.
They've been trying to trade him for 2 years, apparently. He's still here.
I don't know if they were trying. Yeah. He might have asked for it. They might have had the conversations.
Yeah, fair enough.
How do you let that happen for 2 years and not have anything?
Yeah.
Is he just ignoring this?
Although, according to Score Mobile, they're in talks with the Washington Capitals. But
We'll get to
funny
that.
thing
We'll get
about
to that.
Score Mobile notifications that I noticed something funny when I was watching Hockey Night in Canada that one time. I think
Was it Elliot Friedman says something? And
It
then
is so
appears up on
good
Score
every
Mobile,
time.
like 5 minutes
Watching,
later?
we're watching Hockey Night in Canada. Elliot Friedman reports something, and then like literally 5 minutes later, Score Mobile update with report breaking news, the exact thing that Elliot Friedman just said, like verbatim.
Yeah.
And then another a commercial break goes by, and then Elliot Friedman says something else. Literally 5 minutes later, Score Mobile. I'm like, are you guys just watching Hockey Night in Canada?
Oh, for sure they are.
And then just like adding.
They're on top of it. That's happened a lot to me watching NBA too, because the exact same thing. I have notifications for every team in the league, and I'll be watching it. Someone says something or report, and then boom, you get on your phone immediately. It's awesome though. Score Mobile, everything's quick.
It is nice. I know. I just thought it was too funny that it was just
hilarious.
Elliot Friedman says this, boom, Score Mobile.
Whose job is that? Hey, that's a nice job. Just sitting watching Hockey Night and oh,
breaking news,
update. Yeah,
breaking news.
I broke this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm too wound up to talk about the workplace bullying things. I feel like I'm going to say something stupid. So, what's a fair valuation of Evander Kane as a player?
Like, what do you think you get trade-wise?
Yeah, because after this all first broke, our boy Gary.
Gary.
There you go. It's on a radio show in Toronto.
Which one?
That doesn't matter. TSN Radio.
Okay. I guess that would make sense, yeah.
You know who Hope Smoke is?
Yeah.
Hope Smoke? Neil, any idea who Hope Smoke is?
No, sweet name though. I'm going to Google that right now.
It's a Twitter handle, and the guy pretty much just transcribes radio interviews for people to read them on Twitter.
Oh, awesome.
About all sorts of sports stuff. Gary Lawless, this was on, I believe, Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday morning. So after all this broke the next day in the morning. This is Gary Lawless on TSN Radio. Quote, "This is what I know. I phoned a lot of people this morning, and I was told it was discipline with a small d." So he was a little bit wrong with that.
Lol.
Which should have been our first sign. I was told it's an issue, but nothing sinister.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, about that. So is 4 a.m. at the Roxy sinister? I don't know. Not to say that's what he did. This is where things just get...
This is from Wednesday.
Come on, Gary.
This is from Wednesday.
Yeah, this isn't any more reports. This is just Gary's opinion on Evander Kane, and it's just... You'll see. He's, in reference to Evander, not a natural goal scorer. I think it's his 30-goal year, an anomaly. Blah, 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 blah. He's not a .75 or point-per-game player. He's, Evander Kane, at .59 points per game. It's not bad. It's what he is. A career almost 400 games old. He's 23. If we're expecting more to come from Evander Kane, I think our expectations are probably unrealistic. I think this is what he is. He's a very good third-line player. He can climb up the lineup if there's an injury. I don't think Evander Kane is a top 6 guy.
Okay.
He's played with different people, more talented, and it never seemed to make a difference for him. Again,
it's just not true.
Again, this is actually our boy Steven tweeted this after seeing this. Last 3 years, his 3 most common centers were Ole Jokinen, Mark Scheifele, Nick Antropov, and Alex Burmistrov. Mm-hmm. And then he said underneath, I wonder why he doesn't get more assists or score like Ladd.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wallace, they think what Evander Kane brings as a player... They like what Evander Kane brings as a player, but I don't think they will like what they pay him. I think the guys at Newport squeezed the Jets on that deadline and got max dollar for Kane. Now your third line left winger is making $6 million. Gary... You're wrong, bro. You're just wrong.
Well, and like definitely wrong about he's played with better players and he's done no better.
Well, he has played with them before, but not for any sort of significant stretch.
Exactly. And I mean, we've seen what his numbers have been in just small stretches with guys like Burmistrov and people who can actually play hockey or like play offensive hockey anyways.
Exactly.
To the extent that they can actually keep up with Evander Kane.
Yeah. This was my favorite response to this.
Nice.
It's one of Graphic Comments' little things where he says the quote on the side, or there's 2 little graphs for those of you on the podcast, Venn diagram. In one side it says third, the other side it says line, and where it's intersecting or the crossed over area says what you'd have to be on to think of Evander Kane as a third liner. Nice little shout out to Bogo, I guess. Allegedly, just kidding.
Shots fired.
A little bit. Maybe that's why he has me blocked on Twitter.
Maybe.
One other thing I kind of want to show here before we really get to this discussion. We talked about those hero charts.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
Like last week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take another reminder where Evander Kane ranks in these hero charts, and this will pretty much sum up my argument. Evander Kane, ice time per game over the last, 3 years? First line minutes, despite who he's been playing with. Usage Corsi 4 over 60 minutes played. First line. Usage Corsi against, not that great. Third liner, gives up a lot of things. Usage adjusted Corsi percentage. High end second line player. Goals for per 60. First line player. Yeah. Assists per 60. Again, remember who he's playing with. Third liner. Again, Olli Jokinen, Devin Setoguchi, Mark Scheifele in his rookie year. Adam Lowry in his rookie year. Chris Thorburn a lot of the time. Matt Hallestruck a lot of this year.
Yes, gotta bring it
up. I wonder why the guy can't get assists.
Yeah.
I freaking wonder. Points per 60. Despite the fact that he's got no assists ever, second line player of the NHL. Mm-hmm. You would have to be on your third line to think Evander Kane was a third line player. It's just, you're just wrong. Say what you will about Evander's personality. You can hate him for this whole situation all you want. Evander Kane is not a third line hockey player. He's just not.
What podcast was it where we outlined with and without you stats? That was one of our first episodes. One of our first probably in the first 10. But those are the ones that you look at and really appreciate. And there are a few players around the NHL that are like this that you don't necessarily think of as amazing players. But Evander Kane is one of those guys where you look at, and Toby Enstrom is a good example of it as well, where you look at those numbers of how players play when they're with Evander Kane and how they play without him, and you realize that he makes the players on the ice around him better, despite that you think he shoots from the top of the circles every single time, which lots of people still do, regardless of my father is one of those people, and no matter how much evidence I give him to the contrary. The heat charts of his shots and everything, and the average distance of his shots from the net, and how he actually is better than a lot of the players on the team, and when it comes to his average shot distance and percentage and everything like that, still thinks that the only place he shoots from is the top of the circles, and he wastes a lot of opportunities.
I want to show you one other thing here. This chart right here is the last 3 years of Winnipeg Jets play. Their power play time. Ranked by their time on ice. I want you to take a look at this right here. Evander Kane, 6 goals, 8 assists. This is the last 3 years on the power play.
Okay.
He's got about 100 minutes less than the 3 other guys who've been with the Jets over the last 3 years on time on ice in the power play. Where do you think guys get a lot of their goals per 60 minutes of play?
It's 20, isn't it? It was 25% of all goals in the NHL are scored on the power play.
I wonder why he doesn't score as much as Blake Wheeler, Brian Little, and Andrew Ladd.
That's straight from the Hockey Abstract that I got that number from. 25%. A quarter of all goals scored in the NHL are scored on the power play.
Not much time compared to the other guys. Again, the actual total of games played is a little lower, but his shooting percentage is pretty low on the power play.
So it's
the power play stuff.
Yeah.
5-on-5, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Power play could use some work. But again, Evander Kane's very much a rush player. So, Evander Kane is not a third-line caliber player in the NHL. Just period. Which makes this whole
if you make him play with fourth liners, then it brings down some of
those
things.
Like, he's been playing with crap for the last 3 years, and he still has good numbers.
Yeah.
No wonder he was pissed when guys disrespected him. I'd be pissed off, too. Okay. We talked about this briefly. I don't know how much you guys really want to get into it. Do you consider this whole situation bullying?
I know this could get really, really ridiculous really quick. So I'm just going to throw out there that it's almost too much of a complex thing to grasp. And I don't want to say 100% one way or 100% the other.
Yeah.
And it's not just me trying to be democratic or whatever.
I was going to say the same thing.
And I'm not, this is not me trying to just not polarize or
define bullying.
Exactly, that's exactly it. So there's so much at play here and so much that we don't know. Mm-hmm. The only way I would be able to make a real statement on that is if I was there when it happened.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, we don't know enough to make that decision.
Yeah.
If it was a one-time thing, I'm sorry. I feel like getting picked on once doesn't really justify saying it's bullying.
Yeah.
I mean, it could by the definition. I haven't looked up the definition of bullying. If it was a one-time thing and this is just sending a message, that's one thing. If this is a regular occurrence where he almost dreads coming to work every day, that's 100%. That should not be going on in the locker room. You have a real problem in that locker room.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying it should get to the point where someone dreads coming to work every day before it is bullying. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say lot of things securely in this because I don't know.
That makes it obvious is when it's like that.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a difference between sending a message to a teammate and bullying a teammate. Is that fair to say?
And it depends on individual relationships and history, and there's a lot of aspects here, so I'm not going to say either way.
There's a lot of things I could do to you that if I did it to somebody else would be considered bullying.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just the dynamic of knowing somebody.
That's what I'm saying. The relationship changes everything.
Exactly. Like if I push you around a little bit, you're not gonna blink twice to it. Who cares? It's the way it is. I mean, I'm not gonna punch you in the face every day.
I'm not gonna do anything about it because you're like
got
big 40 pounds on me.
Yeah. But if I started going to work every day and pushing around the new guy, we have a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think calling it bullying is impossible to do until you get the full story, and we're never gonna have that ever.
No.
So it could be. I understand why Evander Kane's feelings were hurt. I think the people that are sitting there calling him a baby because his feelings were hurt need to get a reality check and get their shit together. But I'm not going to say it was bullying just yet because we don't know. It could have been. I doubt it was, but it could be. So
I agree.
It's a very sensitive topic.
That's one that I don't think is even worth getting into because it's just going to get out of hand.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those conversations get really ugly over the last couple days. Arctic Ice's comment boards have not been a fun place.
Yeah.
So the last kind of way to talk about this, last thing we're going to bring up, is where do the Jets go from here in this whole situation? Now, before I get you to respond, I'm going to say what we know. Arizona, Buffalo, Ottawa, Washington have all been talked about as potential trade targets. This is from Hope Smoke again today. Bob McKenzie on TSN Radio. These are a bunch of tweets that he said that Bob McKenzie said today, again on TSN Radio. Buffalo and Arizona are two of the so-called bottom feeders who have tangible interest in Evander Kane. Cheveldayoff doesn't want to make a deal for Evander Kane now without getting something that helps him this year, and Cheveldayoff doesn't want to be looking at things 3 years from now saying, I see that guy being a perennial 30-goal guy, and everything I got back just helped me in that one playoff run. If Cheveldayoff is offered only crap now and only crap in the summer, then he won't give away a 23-year-old guy like Kane, and even though it's an uncomfortable situation, he'll bring him back. I don't think it'll come to that. I think Kane has enough value that the Jets will get something tangible for them. In this business, I'll never say never. That's in reference to Evander Kane being back with the Jets next year. The scarlet letter that Evander Kane has is the perception that he doesn't get along with teammates, which is worse than the party guy mentality and dry island thing that Jeff Carter went through. Hockey is an incredibly forgiving business if you're a 23-year-old player who plays like Evander Kane. Teams believe they can fix him. Mm-hmm. People are saying we're not talking about someone, Evander Kane, who is beyond salvation. So basically, I think that sums up the entire argument right now. Evander Kane, right now, you look at it, he has to go. I'm not going to say that because, again, like he said, there's the very realistic possibility he's still a Winnipeg Jet next year. It will be awkward, yes, but I don't think it's a thing you can't fix. There have been situations way worse in locker rooms that have been dealt with before.
And you want to talk about that Roberto Longa situation where he came back with the Canucks after they both parties said that he was going to be gone.
Another example of a GM who did nothing in a bad situation and got fired.
And he's like, and Luongo's just like, to be honest with you, it was really awkward and it was terrible and it was like, meeting up with your ex-girlfriend or something along those lines, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds horrible.
The thing is, you're still a professional athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you are still employed there, and even his agent has said it, he's a Winnipeg Jet.
Oh, yeah.
He will report, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. And again, that's where my line is drawn with why I got pissed off with Evander. He didn't show up. He could still very likely be a Winnipeg Jet next year, and I really hope people are ready to embrace that, because given Kevin Cheveldayoff's history of making trades, he's going to be a Winnipeg Jet next year. Mm-hmm. He is fully tradable despite the fact he's on the IR. The argument, in my opinion, that you cannot trade him right now because you're not getting full value, personally, I think it's ridiculous. I think teams that are outside of the playoff race right now are chomping at the bit to get Evander Kane before the big dogs come into it and say, if we can give you a lot of things, we're willing to give up prospects, we're set for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
We'll give you some good players for this guy because he's going to fit right into our lineup and we're going to win with him. Mm-hmm. So I think you might even be able, if there's more than one guy bidding on Evander Kane, it doesn't matter what time of year it is. You're going to get two teams competing. It doesn't
matter if he's on the IR or whatever.
Doesn't matter. Teams, he's got term. That's the beauty of it all. He's got term. You're not getting a guy for 1 year. You're getting a guy for a few years still.
Yeah.
So I think they're very likely to trade him. I think you could get something good from him. I think you look at teams like Arizona, where they've got Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Keith Yan, like they have players there that you could use. Buffalo, I don't know who you would want from Buffalo.
Tyler Ennis, Zemgus.
Zemgus would be lovely. Tyler Ennis, maybe.
I love Tyler Ennis.
Tyler Myers, no thank you. Cody Hodgson, no thank you.
No.
That's the other dynamic of it is Chevy can make this really bad situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can play into this. I personally think he's going to be gone. I feel crappy because I don't want him to be gone because I like him as a player. I think it's iffy. One team, again, I'm sorry to bring them up.
You're not sorry. Stop apologizing.
Daniel Winnick has already been rumored as a guy the Jets have been interested in. The Leafs are clearly going to be making some sort of moves coming up. I wouldn't hate Evander Kane being a Leaf. It's the kind of market that Evander Kane would thrive in. Do the Leafs want anything to do with him? I don't know.
Phil Kessel would love to have Evander Kane take some of the heat off him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just saying. Evander Kane and Phil Kessel on the same team. Holy crap, that's a good fucking winger talent.
Oh, but yeah, no, definitely.
I think you could get some decent players out of the Leafs right now.
They have good players.
They do.
Yeah.
It's a shit show there.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, exactly.
If you can get Daniel, the trade that I keep saying would be the most amazing thing ever is that they were able to get Kadri and Winnick out of Toronto for Kane and maybe a pick. Kane and Postma.
They have, you know what, honestly, Toronto has great available talent in every position.
They do. And nothing in Toronto is untouchable outside of probably Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options the Jets have right now. Apparently Washington was talked about today. I don't know what you'd get. Let's bring Eric Fair back. He had a really bad PDO year when he was here and he was hampered by injuries. He'd be a valuable third-line piece, but you need more than that.
Yeah, you're not getting just that.
The thing with the Capitals, though, is they're in a playoff hunt right now, so they're not going to give up a lot.
No. They're not going to give you a lot of stuff that you can use right away.
Yeah. It's a very interesting way to go about it, and I'm kind of nervous because Chevy's done nothing. So, I don't know. Neil, what time are we at right now?
8:30 real time, an hour and 7 minutes run.
Oh, hello.
Shirley, we're getting to you next week.
Yep.
We do have a lot of good things to talk about next week. Sorry, buddy. I would have loved to get to that this week, but it'll wait till next week. There's been a lot of gong showness going on with the Jets.
Is that a word?
It is now.
Hey, I was going to say something.
So let's change the tide a little bit and
Sure.
talk about just a truly great team this week. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Joe's Great Team of the Week.
So,
By the way, I just want to say, we just talked about Evander Kane for a full hour.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
Jesus.
not hard.
No, not at all.
Great team of the week for this week. It might be a little bit sad for Jets fans, but Nashville Predators. I wanted to give them some props. I don't think I have yet this year, but it's been a long time coming. This month's only 9 days old. They've already played 5 times, which is ridiculous. Yeah, they played 5 times in 9 days. They won 4 out of those 5. They only lost to the Ducks, the Duckingtons.
The Duckingtons?
That's as Jay and Dan refer to them.
Yes.
Mike Ribeiro hit 700 career points. They're still first in the Central Division, which I know for a fact almost nobody would have predicted at the beginning of the season, including us.
No idea.
So props to the Nashville Predators.
But I mean, you're comparing that prediction to a guy who thought Edmonton was going to
make the playoffs.
So,
LOL. Yeah. Like,
I mean, I love you, Oilers.
rest in peace, Travis's playoff predictions. Rip in peace. Okay, so that is the great team of the week, Nashville Predators.
Just a shout out for, I know I always argue with these things. Shout out to Devin Dubnyk, man.
Big time. I think I gave him props when I gave Minnesota great team of the week when he first got traded there.
Probably, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you did do them recently.
Yeah,
but, man, he's still lighting it up.
Yep.
Still think the Jets should have gone for him when his value was like an AHL player.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been nice. Is it learning things time?
Sure.
Do we always use... Yeah, that's usually nice.
I don't know.
Joe, teach us some things.
Sure. Well, what I learned this week, completely unrelated to anything to do with hockey or anything like that, it was something I just happened to see today in a magazine that I was browsing. It's a random stuff magazine.
Oh my god!
It's literally just a magazine.
What has the world come to?
Of random inventions that you can just buy. This company puts them all together into a magazine, and it's like, here, look at all this stuff that you can get that you never.
Whose magazine is this?
It's called Hamaker Schlemmer, and they literally just.
It's called what?
Yeah, don't even bother.
Is that our spelling bee?
No, it's not. That would be a good one though. But yeah, so basically, it's just a magazine, and they do like independent research and testing of products, and so they just find.
I'm so pissed this exists.
They just find first off they find things that are individual, that are new and that don't exist anywhere else, and they feature those, and they also feature like the best of a certain product. So they'll test like a bunch of toaster ovens and be like, this is the best one.
I mean, that's handy.
It is really it is nice.
A lot more handy than this.
But the selfie toaster, for those, I mean, the picture's been up for a while now, so if you're watching on YouTube, this surprise is spoiled. But if you're just listening, the selfie toaster, this is a thing.
It shouldn't be.
I'll read the description of it here. This is the appliance that indelibly brands its owner's image onto a slice of bread. The toaster uses custom heating inserts crafted from a submitted headshot.
$70!
A subject's full facial details are converted into twin stainless steel inserts, allowing its heating elements to brown light or dark likenesses of the subject onto one side of toast, removing any question as to the ownership of the next two slices.
Evander Kane probably owns one of these.
Customers will receive instructions for uploading a photograph online. So yeah, basically you just get the toaster, you send in a picture of, yourself, a loved one.
Best Christmas present for Randy Carlisle ever, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Your dog, cat, I don't know.
Why? Why is it $70?
It's one of a kind. Well, not like
you could get. No, it's not.
Well, the toaster part of it isn't.
What? Like,
I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying. Anyways, you can upload your photo or whatever you want.
So you just look at yourself and eat your own face? I get it if you could just, flip those inserts. So if you're at work, you're just like, oh, I'm going to put this so no one steals my toast. And if they do, it can be like, hey, that's my face. Give me my toast.
Yeah, so hey.
But what, you're just going to buy a whole toaster and just bring it to work just so you can have your face on some pieces of bread?
Absolutely.
Ugh. How full of yourself do you have to be to eat your own face?
Pretty damn well. You're going to be full of yourself after you eat your own face.
Shut up.
Nice.
That was a dad level pun.
Nailed it. Thank you. Sorry, you set me up for that one. I had to take it.
I'm so angry this
you are really upset about this.
This is current society in a nutshell.
I just don't know who would want uneven toast. Look
that's
how black the center
That's
looks.
why I haven't bought a Leafs toaster, because I don't want to eat burnt toast.
No.
Well, it's burnt in one spot and then soft everywhere
Yeah, but
else.
burnt toast is gross.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not equal. It's just burnt in the middle, and then the parts that aren't dark are just,
crust.
Yeah. Anyways,
man.
you can eat some PB&J off your own face if you feel like it for $70.
$70. How do you?
That's what I learned this week.
How? No,
We can just move on.
next.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
furious. You ruined my day.
Good.
So I saw this. This was I forget where I saw this, but I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So there's a guy at a Washington Capitals game.
Nice.
The only black guy in the crowd, mind you. And there's a picture of him holding a sign. It says, "They told me this was a basketball game."
That's awesome.
Oh, I had a really good laugh when I saw this the first time.
That's funny.
First, because the sign's hilarious. Second, because he's the only black guy you
How
can
is
see
he
in this
holding it,
picture,
too?
right?
He's holding it like he's going to 3-pointer.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And I also learned there's an outdoor game that went on. Let me see. I gotta find it again here. In Croatia, and it was in a super old kind of. I'll show you the picture here.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's sick.
right. I thought so too.
It's
So
like a Coliseum.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
kind of looks like
we'll post it to our JetStream Twitter because everyone needs to see this.
Thank you, Pity, for reminding me to post the hero charts last week, by the way, because I completely forgot. And then he tweeted me the next day and reminded me. So thank you, Pity. You're the best. Woo.
Pity keeps us on our game. So I saw this. This looks amazing.
That's
this
awesome.
That's so sick.
And there's a picture here of the actual fans. So this is how an outdoor game's got to be done.
That's
Like,
friggin'
it
sweet.
looks so intimate, right?
Yeah.
It looks like everyone's close.
It's an arena outside.
Exactly, yeah. Really, really impressive. I thought the Michigan Stadium was impressive, which it still is. It's mind-boggling.
Well, this one you can at least see the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes it so cool, right? It looks
I
very
love that they did it
practical,
at night
right?
too.
Yeah. Big fan of that. But yeah, we'll tweet out the pictures on our Twitter account.
Yeah, you should probably.
But it
do
basically
that,
looks
'cause
like they're playing.
I will do that.
It
yeah.
basically looks like they're playing hockey in a coliseum. which is sweet.
Which is
That is
exactly
what they're doing, Joe. Yeah.
Well, it's
Thank
not
you for that.
The Coliseum.
Well, a Coliseum that is a wannabe Coliseum. So, there. All right.
What'd you learn?
I learned that if you're a Leafs fan and someone makes a parody song about the Leafs, that about 6 million people are going to send it to you. Have you guys seen this yet?
I haven't. I know what you're talking about.
This is really well done and it's hilarious, but I swear to God, if one more person sends me this, I might murder them because I get sent this.
Haha, Travis, have you seen this?
Literally. Like, the first day this came out, I got it from about 15 people.
Wow.
And then for the next 4 days, like 5 a day.
Wow.
It was ridiculous.
See, I saw it, and I saw that it existed. I didn't watch it because I was like not really interested. And then I was like, I didn't even think it. It didn't even cross my mind to send it to you.
Like,
so you're welcome.
Well, it's because I see everything.
Yeah.
Like, hello. And the thing is, all these people who send it to me know I have Twitter.
Yeah.
You've seen my Twitter feed. You really think I haven't seen this?
So true.
I have like 40,000 tweets. You really think I haven't seen this?
Pile it on, Friday.
Come on, guys.
Pile it on.
Going on with the Leafs thing, before we move on, so that Pula Arena, which is what that was called in Croatia.
Pula?
Yeah, it was built in 27 BC.
Nice.
And the top comment on Reddit was, this building was brand new the last time the Leafs won.
Whoa.
Whoa!
Okay, well, on that note, the thing I learned this week is that when you lose 11 games in a row, Leaf fans make great song parodies. And just to correct myself, I have 22.7 thousand tweets.
That's way too many.
I know, it's a lot.
Damn.
Let's all enjoy. This is actually a really well done song, so the lyrics are funny.
Check us out on YouTube. It's here.
This guy looks so sad.
He does, yeah.
This
already
encapsulates Leafs fans so well.
Do something, I'm giving up on you.
It gets better.
Saturday nights with the white and blue. Anywhere you played, I followed you.
Great voice, too.
Yeah, he actually sings it really well.
Do something, I'm giving up on you.
I see way too much of his nipples, though.
Yeah. Get a looser shirt.
And I cannot recall the last time you won a game.
They were in the middle of their losing streak, so that made it even
You've
funnier.
been losing them all.
It's nice, simple lyrics.
Clarkson
Oh boy.
will stumble and fall.
He's worse than Shifley, to be
Yeah,
honest.
he is.
Gave away, took a risk. We made the wrong call.
So basic, but so true.
Treat someone, I'm giving up on you.
It's getting real epic now.
Castle alone cannot get us through. Optimist, right? What happened to you? Treat someone, I'm giving up on you. And I swallow my pride.
Every year.
You're the team that I love, so I won't say goodbye. Win for once, I'm giving up on you.
Now he's getting real.
Oh, he's gonna. Looks like he's about to cry.
Can't forget game 7 that you blew.
That had to come up at some point.
That for one lead should have got us through. Oh, Carlisle, we've had for enough of you.
Nice.
Do something, I'm giving up on you. do something. Please.
Please. That's good. Yeah,
It sums it up really well.
How many views does that have?
I don't know.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Because I saw that many different places on social media.
Yep. It sums it up really well. Like, honestly, being a Leaf fan. So
I think the guy did a good job putting it together.
No, he did a great job.
yeah, it was a group of a few of them, and then he was the one to sing it. So
Maybe a looser shirt and put down the mic so
we can see the pain in your face.
yeah.
oh, Leaf fans feel it right here.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, every time.
Yeah, that was really well done.
Well, I just got a notification.
That
Uh-oh.
said what?
Minnesota Wild are about to win another game,
Oh boy.
which will pull them even closer to the Winnipeg Jets. 6 straight wins for the Minnesota Wild, assuming they hold on.
Hey.
That will put them at 58 points with 52 games played. The Jets are sitting at 64 points with 55 games played.
Yikes.
So the Wild are
They're
not
right
even close to done.
They're right there.
And guess who the Jets play tomorrow?
Minnesota.
Yep.
That'll be a good game.
It will be. Luckily, the Wild are coming off a back-to-back. Unfortunately, Chris Thorben's still going to be a third liner.
Did Dubnyk play tonight or did he play yesterday?
Well, he didn't play yesterday because they didn't play yesterday at all.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said
I
they're
don't-
coming off of a back-to-back.
Yeah, tomorrow when they play the Jets.
Yeah, so tonight and then
Tomorrow.
yesterday. So tomorrow is the back-to-back. I thought you meant they're playing like...
No, like tomorrow's the back-to-back game.
Oh, okay. So did he play... He's playing tonight then? So he's not going to
I'm
play
not
tomorrow?
sure. I don't know that much because
Okay.
fuck the Wild. But yeah,
Because you don't want to face Dubnyk right now. He's like one of the hottest goalies in the league.
quite honestly, get the win against the Wild tomorrow. Got Nashville on Thursday. Tough game. We'll see. Detroit on Saturday. Then you play Edmonton. If you can pull a few wins, maybe, please.
That would be ideal.
Try to get something together and maybe be like, hey, Chevy, do something. Seriously, because you've done nothing.
I'm giving up on you.
Nice.
Way far gone giving up on Kevin Cheveldayoff. So,
Do something, please.
that was just the perfect ending.
That was the perfect ending. Please.
So yeah, the Jets have a bit of a... It's such a weird time because if they had their actual lineup with Evander Kane and everybody, I'd feel a lot more confident.
Yes.
But, they don't.
Something had to happen,
So, I've said it like 3 times this year, but if Kevin Cheveldayoff doesn't pull their shit together, like, he's got to go. He's got to. Do your fucking job. Your team is falling apart. Do something. Please.
Please.
Shit, we still have a spelling bee to do.
We're doing that? All right,
Yeah, man,
do
let's
it.
do
I'm
it.
starting to yawn. This coffee's wearing off. Let's get
I know. Let's get to it.
It's the SPELLING. Gotta remember I before E. Except after C. Da, 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 da. It's the spelling bee.
Yay. So spelling bee for today. I actually mentioned it in the Great Team of the Week. So
What's that magazine name again?
if you were Hamacker Schlemmer, it's not that.
I love that.
But
first
this is
child's
a hockey player's name who I mentioned earlier. Mike Ribeiro.
Oh.
Did we do him before?
I don't know, maybe.
I feel like I've seen his name written.
Probably. I think we've
If
done
we've done
him
it before, then no excuses, guys.
I honestly think we've done him before.
Well, it's too late now. I'm not changing it.
I mean, someone's done him before, but
I'm not even gonna.
you know what? You made some bad jokes earlier.
Oh.
I'm gonna give Neil a hint on this one. There's more eyes than you would expect.
Okay. Whoa.
Okay, so now there's gonna be like 9 eyes.
I.
Mike.
Oh my God. What? Eyes?
I mean, he does only have 2 of them.
It's not like an excessive amount.
Yeah, it's not
just
ridiculous.
more than you
It's just
think.
more than you would expect.
Okay, Mike Ribeiro. Mike.
Yeah.
Ribeiro. RIB. EIRAUT.
Say RIBEIRAUT.
AUT.
Okay.
You were so close, Neil.
Oh my God.
Travis.
Mike Ribeiro, MikeRibeiro.
BE.
No. OUT? Oh.
There's no T.
No, it's just O.
It's just O.
Oh.
Mike Ribeiro. O.
I swear I saw his name written and there was a T at the end.
Nope.
You're thinking Matthew Perreault.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Oh, yeah.
R-I-B-E-I.
You were so close.
Wow, I had the eyes in the right place.
Remember that time in the Spelling Bee theme song where it says better remember I before E? Not in Micro
Not
Barrow.
here, and there's no C.
Breaking the rules. Breaking the rules. No.
Sorry.
No.
Well, I apologize.
No Judas Priest.
Let's get some Seinfeld going. Better than Judas Priest.
Big time.
All right. Want to get a hold of us on Twitter and yell at me for thinking things about Evander Kane that you don't agree with at JetStreamPod. Hashtag JetStream. Like I said, yelling at all of us. You might have agreed with one of us, but if you disagree with one of us, just yell at all of us.
Sure.
So, you can also check out the website, www.jetstreampodcast.com, like Joe's grandparents did.
Oh,
They left us a wonderful comment.
Shout out to my grandma and grandpa.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Yep.
Have I ever met your grandparents?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if I have. It's weird, because I met, like, the rest of your family.
Yeah, no.
Kind of. I guess not really. I know a lot of family not in Winnipeg.
Pretty much all of them.
So I've met, like, none of your family except for
Yeah.
your immediate family.
Shout out to my grandparents. Thanks for listening / watching / whatever.
Very true. They probably watch this on the website. Hope you're watching. I don't know. So yeah, check out the website, www.jetstreampodcast.com. You can leave comments there if you would like.
Side note, Bob McKenzie just posted an article this morning on TSN's website. Conventional versus conventional wisdom. Give it a read.
It is worth reading.
Yeah.
Somebody else posted something too, but I can't. Sorry. Nah.
But it's worth reading. Bob McKenzie's usually a pretty level-headed guy, so it's good.
He actually knows what's going on.
Yeah, good.
So.
Yeah, there's a guy who actually has an idea of what's going on for the most part.
Yeah. Probably a better idea than Kevin Chilldale.
Yeah. Maybe.
Right now, probably. If you'd like to email us your response because you thought we were really dumb and need more than 140 characters, jetstreampodcast@gmail.com. It's always appreciated when we get emails from you guys. So if you just want to yell directly at me because you really hate me so much, or you want to tell me that selfie toast is a good idea, on Twitter at THRUBENIUK. Joe's on Twitter at JW_Clark20. Neil's on Twitter at Neil Noonan, NEILNOONAN. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Those on Max Sports channels or any other way that you're listening to us, Stitcher app maybe on SoundCloud. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes. That really helps us out. It's nice to give us an idea of how many people are actually listening, what you guys actually think of us. Helps us get recognized. So please subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Also check out artsguyshockey.com. We've done our best over there to kind of stay on top of everything. This Evander Kane saga, we post things as we know what's going on. We post opinions and everything on there. Try to be nice in the comments because it's not fun when everyone's just yelling at each other. We post
That's what the internet is for, Travis.
That's true. But we have the power to block you, so don't. Check out artsguyshockey.com. We're going to find all the links for us, all the sources to listen to us. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hate to say this, but I hope by next week when we're here talking, we're talking about not only wins, but Evander Kane being traded for something awesome. Surely we'll get to your question next week, I promise. We've got to talk about Michael Furleek and what the heck's going on with his contract. Thank you all for listening. Peace out.